Greetings, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's your buddy Troy here. Today we're going to be talking about some mindful nutrition. And if you're new to the channel, it's an educational channel. We talk about mindfulness, mindful fitness, men's health, getting in shape, connecting with nature, connecting with ourselves, learning about ourselves. And we'd ask you to take a second, smash that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it really means the world to me. So, mindful nutrition. If you are trying to get in shape in time for this summer, which it's coming quick, you need to stop over restricting the crash diets, the starvation diets, the eliminating entire, food categories, getting rid of all carbs, or some of these like really over restrictive sort of programs. Guys, they backfire. They backfire every time. You will never fool your body. You're not going to fool your body. So what you end up doing is when you do that type of stuff, there's a backlash. And the backlash is, well, you guys have probably experienced it this far. It's one step forward, two steps back. So what we got to do is we got to avoid that. And the way we avoid that is by making small, very small, not drastic, but small cuts, about a 200 calorie reduction from your maintenance calories. Whatever you need for maintenance, whatever you need to just kind of stay the same and the scale doesn't move, from that number, subtract about 200 calories and see how you feel with that. Because when you start skipping meals and when you start really getting the calories down really low, what happens is your metabolism slows down. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like there's anything wrong with your body. It's kind of awesome. Your body is becoming more efficient. And so what that means is that you end up needing to do something, right, more extreme, more drastic, more restricting. And if your body gets efficient at a very low level of calories, then you have to go below that in order to make progress. That's not good. That's why I would never recommend to someone who's just starting out to make any kind of drastic reduction. That's not how you want to do it. You want to make a small reduction. Like I said, about 200 calories. So don't do those drastic cuts, guys. It puts your body into a state where when you hit that plateau, it makes it really hard to make progress from there. Prepare for the plateaus. Okay, next. What's going to happen when you cut back too much is your energy is going to dip. You're not going to have the energy that you had when you were at maintenance. Maintenance is where you should feel pretty good. Like you have energy where you could work. You could go outside and you could hike all day or work all day, split wood or exercise. Just really, you don't get depleted at maintenance. Now, what happens is when you go way below maintenance, you get into that crash diet, starvation diet type thing. Your energy levels are not what they were when you were at maintenance. You start wanting to just sit around all the time. And then what ends up happening there is if you can imagine that, right, your metabolism has slowed a little bit. It's become more efficient. Now you're not moving around like you were before, right? You're kind of laying around. So the amount of energy that you're expending is not as much. And then finally, and this is really where the boomerang comes back around and knocks you on the head. The cravings that you have when you're in this state, the cravings ramp up. If you're like I am and you have a high hunger drive, it sends it to the moon, right? And so what ends up happening is this stuff like late night snacking. Blink your eyes if that happens to you, right? You have a perfect day, everything goes good. And then, your guard goes down a little bit in the evening and the floodgates open, or just kind of like any kind of snacking really. Eventually what happens is the floodgates open for all of us. Once we start eating, we end up over consuming the calories because we're binging. And it's just such a vicious cycle. So to avoid all that, guys, remember, all that stuff comes from over restricting, cutting back too much. So I admire your fortitude in doing that. And it's really admirable and it's super powerful. And you should definitely pat yourself on the back if you're at this point in your journey. But like I said, it's making small, sustainable cuts over time that really, that's really where the progress is. That compounds. So here's what you want to do, guys. You want to make sure that you're nourishing yourself. Build nourishing meals. Whatever that means for you, but I mean, bare bones basic stuff. You want to make sure that you're getting your protein. You want to consider the difference in volume between what we could call whole foods, like single ingredient whole foods. Compare how much more of that you get to like when you eat a packaged processed food, or what we could call junk food, right? Just on a calorie per volume level, you want to try to eat foods that are high volume but low calorie, because you can eat a lot of them and they help you feel full and satisfied. But they're not so high calorie. If you go way over your calories, it's going to be tough for you to trim up and get in shape. So like I said, we have to be mindful of our calories without over restricting them. And a way you can do that is make sure you're nourishing yourself with those whole foods. You're getting your vitamins, your minerals, you're getting your protein in. Don't demonize carbohydrates either, right? Just realize that they can be impactful, so it's easy to overdo it with the carbohydrates. But I wouldn't say to eliminate them. I would just say be mindful of eating them in moderation, right? There's nothing wrong with fruit and for dairy for the people who can tolerate it. So all things in moderation, but really try to lean into the whole foods. Also, it's really important that you set boundaries. You really need to be the one in charge of what you're eating, and really pay attention to why you're eating it. Pay attention to the when, right? The hows, all these kinds of things. Are we being intentional? Are we being mindful? Is there just kind of like mindless zombie eating taking place? This really shouldn't be the case if we're trying to tone up, trim up a little bit. And lastly, just remember, guys, don't fight your biology. Don't fight your body. Your body is not the enemy. It's your friend. But remember, you're never going to trick it. You'll never trick your body. So you can provide the body with stimulus. That's what the body responds to. And when you try to trick the body, you trick yourself. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Like I said, give me a like. I'd love to hear what's going well for you in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.